Okay, regulations and certification. We often get asked questions about the approvals of our lights and the fitment onto the vehicle. So in this short video, I'm going to try and explain some of the points to look out for when you're choosing an LED light and what the certificate actually means. Generally speaking, we are approving our lights as a Class B driving light. And why that's important in Europe in particular is that regulation number 48 allows for the fitment of 2 additional Class B driving lights. And now more recently, it's been updated to allow provision for 2 Class RA driving lights to be fitted. The Class B driving light is basically a high power, high beam. The Class RA driving light is a supplemental driving beam. So you're fitting Class RA only if you've already got headlights on your vehicle, which is generally the case. One exception, the Lazer ST2 is actually approved as a Class A driving light because it doesn't meet the limits of the Class B requirements. So that's the basics, but then you will also have spotted on a couple of our products we have what we call the double E mark. The regulation allows for the provision that you can approve a lamp with the left hand and the right hand being 2 different lights. And they are separated as 2 different LED modules internally in the lamp. So in the case of a linear 18 double E mark, as we have here, the left side and the right side are internally, they're identical. And so in that case, you're lighting them up at the same time, but they've actually been approved in their individual elements. In the case of Glide, this is a slightly different double E mark product because actually the beam pattern you get from the left side of the product is slightly different to the beam pattern you get from the right side. And that's because we've got the spot LEDs in the center of the lamp. So the middle 4 reflectors are spot reflectors. So it means that actually you get a non-symmetrical beam pattern. So when we look at the certificate for Glide, for example, then you can see that it's been approved as a right-hand variant and a left-hand variant. The detail is shown in the certificate. So it achieves Class B. It is a reference 12.5. And if I would turn to page 9 on the certificate, we can see the test results for the variant right hand. And on page 10, we see the testing results for the variant left hand. So that is when they did the certificate, they've turned on the left side and the right hand side independently. This is measured at 12.5. The right is measured at reference 12.5. And there you get your double E mark. So the only other important point, when we use Glide in the roof pods of the Amarok and the Ranger, then we've recertified the lamp as a single E mark. And we've done that because of the regulation 48 requirement that you can only mount 2 extra lights onto your vehicle. So it wouldn't have worked to have had 2 Glide double E marks on the roof in a country like Germany or Switzerland, where they're following the regulation quite precisely. So in those markets, it was important that we recertified the lamp as a single E mark. And then that different approval number is shown on the infill pieces of the lamp and also on the sticker on the underside of the product. So it's clear that it's a single E mark and not a double E mark in that case. And of course on Glide, in order to get that low reference 12.5, then we operate flash to dim. So during the approval process, we make clear to the approval house that the lamp has an off-road mode and an on-road mode. They test it in the on-road mode. And so when the driver is in a country where they're required to meet the lighting regulations of that country, they should operate it in the low output mode. And then when they're driving across a border into a market like Sweden, for example, where there is no requirement for limiting the light output, they can then put it in boost mode. So in terms of the markings themselves, you will see an E9, which indicates that these lights are certified and approved in Spain, which is one of the signatories to the UNECE regulation. You'll also see a PL written on the text. That means that the lamp uses a plastic lens, which then goes through a whole lot of certification tests to make sure that that plastic lens is hard coated correctly and it won't fail or discolor over time. The HR indicates it's a Class B driving light. If it was a just with an R, like the ST2, that means it's a Class A driving light. You may also see an R149, an R148 or an R7 number on the lens. That is basically telling the person looking at the product what regulation specifically it's been approved to. And then there'll be generally a 5 or a 6-digit number after that, which gives the certificate number so that anyone could look up the certificate for these E-marked lights and check the certificate to see whether it's approved as a double E-mark or a single E-mark. And then that's what the any test or inspection house should be doing when they're reviewing a vehicle's suitability for the road. So all of the E-mark certificates are also available for download from our website. So you can go to the product pages and the download section, and then we publish the first 3 pages there. If it's needed to have access to the full report, then please do get in touch with us. We're very happy to provide that as and when required. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you found that interesting. Please do get in touch with us if you need more information or a bit of explanation on any of these points talked about.